Cebu. Easy to reach, easy to love. While it may be one of the most urbanized places in the country, history and nature are never far away. While I savor the delicacies that have put Cebu on the foodie map, I discover that it may just as well be on every chocoholic's itinerary. Join me on Profiles as we explore the Queen City of the South and meet its chocolate queen, Raquel Choa. Through her chocolate journey, find out how she's putting the Philippines on the world's chocolate map. The first stop in my Cebu exploration was Casa de Cacao, tucked in a private enclave. Although it's a unique destination for tourists who come in by reservation, it's essentially Raquel's home, where she has raised 8 children. As I was welcomed into it, it was easy to see how the house got its name. Raquel, could you tell me more about this amazing Casa de Cacao?
Casa de Cacao is literally our home, bahay. I realized that cacao is the main ingredient of chocolate. And I said, wow, it's like finding a treasure.
After spending her childhood surrounded by cacao trees and having the bitter cacao drink as a staple at home, she was overwhelmed by this discovery.
I remember going to my school without knowing that cacao is chocolate, yet I drank it every day. When I was a little girl, cacao is cacao, not a chocolate. I started sharing that real taste of cacao here in Casa de Cacao. I started chocolate buffet. That everyone come. Then my dream became bigger that I want to tell the whole world. Filipinos know how to make chocolate. Why naging Casa de Cacao? Dito kasi isinilang yung naging chocolate queen ako.
Raquel founded her chocolate enterprise, Ralph Gourmet, in 2011. Passionate about sharing her love of chocolate, she turned her home into a chocolate haven where visitors can embark on a chocolate journey to gain a deeper appreciation of the dark, decadent delight from humble bean to rich, irresistible chocolate. What Cebuanos fondly call sikwate.
Welcome to Casa de Cacao. I am Edu, a cacao advocate. And since you're in Casa de Cacao, I am hand of the queen.
The Chocolate Journey is a chocolate appreciation tour that leads visitors through the tablea making process.
Who eats chocolates? Come on, raise your hands. Woohoo! 9 out of 10 people love chocolates. The 10th one is a liar. Cacao is actually a fruit. So chocolate comes from this wonderful fruit, or you call it cacao pod. And it's so surprising that this cacao is actually from this tiny flower. Have you tried fresh cacao fruit before?
Yes, I've tried it.
Where have you tried?
Bohol. Edu introduced us to the cacao fruit, which grows abundantly in Cebu. The sweetish sour taste of the fruit's meat reminded me of santol or atis. The seeds are fermented, dried, and roasted to turn into cacao beans, the tablea's raw ingredient.
Can you taste chocolate?
No.
No, because a lot of process is involved for these beans to become chocolates.
Edu then led us to their roasting area, where the smell of chocolate was unmistakable.
After fermentation and drying, we roast. So these are roasted beans, and then we peel it off manually, and there you have it, cacao nibs. Who likes to try roasting?
This is how many Cebuano locals remember their grandmothers, preparing cacao for tablea right in their backyards. As we entered their home, we were led to the garaje, a dining room decked with an array of chocolate delights, where we met Raquel's daughter, Hannah, the chocolate princess.
My mother and I prefer to call myself as the spiller of the beans. So why the spiller of the beans? Just like spilling the beans, it's like sharing a secret. For us, the sikwate or Philippine cacao has somewhat become a hidden treasure to the Filipinos. The traditional way of making tablea has always been part of our culture, and to be able to pass it down to the next generation is something else. Because I think that being part of the millennials, we don't really preserve our practices, our culture, and our traditions because everything is high-tech. So it's nice to go back to the basic.
Hannah clearly knows her stuff and is as enthusiastic as her mom about preserving the craft of tablea making.
So here we have a selection of different chocolate creations made by my mom, the chocolate queen. But before enjoying any of these selections, we want to be able to let you try what real chocolate tastes like.
We had a taste of sikwate the way it's traditionally served, without sugar. Strong and rich, it reminded me of espresso. Its bitterness was balanced by bites of sweet chocolate truffle. But the sikwate was just a foretaste of the main course of the chocolate journey, meeting the chocolate queen herself.
Here in the Philippines, people call me the chocolate queen. I defied many conventions as a woman and as a Filipino.
A steady stream of tourists, both local and foreign, has gone on the chocolate journey, where they hear Raquel's personal story and get a crash course on Tablea 101. Raquel has gained such an impressive following that in 2015, she had the privilege of taking several Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC spouses on her chocolate journey.
First and foremost, Mitch, hindi ko alam ano yung epic. Sino lang ba ako? Parang, kasi I have that feeling na parang, maliit lang tayo,
Sobrang
tablea lang
humble
tayo.
mo.
Parang sino ba ako? But because of that dream, kahit nahihiya ako, gawin ko to kasi I have a dream. I promised a while ago that I want to share with you how my grandmother prepared to make tablea.
Raquel demonstrated the traditional way cacao was processed into tablea. It wasn't easy introducing tablea to the chocolate world, especially in the highbrow hotel and tourism industries. After all, it has earned the moniker Dirty Chocolate.
Dirty kasi nga yun, the characteristic kasi ng tablea na medyo maitim, tapos pag inom mo, parang medyo may
sediments,
kalat,
parang ganyan. Particles, oo.
Particles, binibili sa public market, nakabalot kung ano-anong newspaper. The moment when I enter, the courage to enter the hotel industry, for me, is a gate because I want to tell the whole world and I cannot travel. Natakot ako lumilipad ng aeroplano. So I start knocking, wala akong kilala, I start introducing the tablea. The Marco Polo is one of the first hotel who believed in me. And when I enter the industry, nilakasan ko yung loob ko, then of course, yung challenge there is, the dirty chocolate.
Since she's made headway in the international chocolate lovers community, she's now even more proud to present the tablea as a unique and precious ingredient of her Cebuano heritage. That's why you prefer to be called a tablea maker over a chocolatier.
Yes, because tablea lang kasi yung alam ko. So that's why that identity, that word tablea, I'm very comfortable telling that. So the tablea became my business. The second challenge is the application of tablea. I developed praline, rocher, kung ano-ano yung mga tartofinis. God is so good. So the spirit leads me, so I developed almost 50 products.
Wow.
And then after that, I developed mga infused na mga tablea powders. So I continue sharing my chocolate journey. So it is a long tradition that we Filipino drink, not eat, not in a bar. This is our Filipino chocolate. This is a tablea. From tablea to the boiling water, and we call it sikwate.
What's the main message you want people to take with them after they join this chocolate journey?
Chocolate is life. I want to share that it's beyond chocolate. I want to share the real essence of cacao. We will tell the story that our chocolate is life, has soul. There's a story to tell.
On my chocolate journey, I discovered what a gem our country has in its rich cacao forests. A gem Raquel has unearthed and is sharing to the rest of the world.
We Filipino, we have our own identity. That this is our long tradition. The moment you eat our chocolate, you will remember there's a lot of people behind. There's a farmers, there's a tiny little flowers.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I found a hidden treasure. But again, this is not mine, but this is ours. I found you, you found me. Together, we found one of our hidden treasure. My life story is inseparable of my chocolate journeys.
Raquel's passion for chocolate emanates throughout her home and lifestyle. She shares this all generously each time she speaks of her chocolate journey.
I was 7 years old that time when my chocolate journey began.
Raquel, your love for chocolate actually started with a very sad story.
My life story is inseparable of my chocolate journeys. My parents were separated when I was 7 years old. My grandparents took me and brought me onto that mountain, onto that secluded mountain.
For a 7-year-old city girl, the drastic shift to a Spartan life in the mountains without the comforts of urban living was a terribly rude awakening.
When I arrived in that mountain, back to 1980s, totally different from the city where I came from. It was dark. It was scary. You can hear like
Ibang mundo na yun.
crickets. You can hear like hindi mo maintindihan. Tapos there was no electricity and only kerosene lamp.
She has vivid memories of crossing 7 rivers on foot just to get to school. To make matters worse, it was a turbulent time when the presence of rebels threatened Cebu's highlands.
That was the 80s, and sometimes at the middle of the night, you can hear the sounds of the gun firings in the middle of the mountains. So parang it's like, what's going on?
You thought there were monsters living there.
I remember like mga 9, 10 years old on the 3rd river yata before going to school. Sometimes may mabutan ka ng mga dead body, like yung ulo nakahang sa kahoy. Tapos sometimes nakahiga na yung mga ganon.
It's really
So,
scary,
it's
for a child, of course.
But after all, wala kang magawa eh.
To comfort her and her siblings, her grandmother told them tales about the legendary Maria Cacao, an enchantress and queen of the cacao forest, living among them in the mountains.
The legend is yung pinaka, for me, that comfort me or taught me how to embrace in that mountain because of the legend of Maria Cacao.
For Raquel, telling her childhood story always brings back painful memories.
Her name is Maria Cacao. She was the queen of the forest.
Ah,
And she lived in a magical tree
Yeah.
with fireflies lit in the night.
This magical tree was the cacao tree that bore the fruits whose seeds her grandmother would painstakingly pound to transform into the bittersweet sikwate of her childhood.
How did your grandmother influence you? Kasi tablea maker in terms of your passion now.
Who am I now? As a
Oo.
part is, of course, my grandmother. That's why I became more an advocate on artisanal. There's no shortcut. And mahirap sa akin yung instant in chocolate, pinapound, sa mga puro, yung mga walang machine. And hindi lang naman kasi tablian. Dami kasing tinuturo ng nanay ko, like puto, budbud, ang daming kakanina
Oo.
sa bundok. So that I learned that from my grandmother.
Yes.
And ini-inject niya yung values. Like for example, pag magro-roasting kami ng beans, I remember, kaya one of the secret to have a good tablea, roasting.
It was through this process that she also learned patience and the power of stillness to heighten her senses.
Ang nanay sabi ko na, you have to select the beans to bad and good. And imagine, no kuryente, no electricity, magsiselect ka sa gabi, anong makikita mo? So parang, I was crying, no, I cannot see the bad and the good. And then, sabi ng nanay ko, you close your eyes. And I said, what? I will close my eyes?
And feel.
And then, yun na pala ang feeling. Then
She
I
really
apply
taught
it in
you.
my day-to life now that I do meditation in making the decision.
Her life has been a long journey of trials and triumphs, and this is where she is today. Married, mother of 8 beautiful children, and owner of 3 growing chocolate enterprises.
I was 16 when I got married and gave birth right after 16, 17, 18. Sunod-sunod yung tatlo. My last pregnancy is 30. So I grew up together with my children. Tapos I decided na, laki na sila. So parang, I'm a type of person kasi na I love to work.
To see where she came from, I'm really proud to say that she's gone a long way to accomplish something like this. While she was working, she taught her children how to work as well. One of the main lessons that I've learned from her is that you have to stay true to yourself. You have to be able to still adjust and innovate yourself, but also go back to who you are.
Raquel may not have lived a fairy tale life, but by staying true to herself during her darkest moments, she molded her own reality, carving out her own place in the magical world of chocolate.
You have to be proud kasi tayo yung nagtatanim and din ginagawang chocolate. Unlike to the other country na nagbili lang sila ng beans.
Cebu has had a long history with chocolate. Being the first Spanish settlement in the country, cacao beans were brought to its shores from Mexico by way of the galleon trade. In fact, we have the distinction of being the first country in Asia to plant cacao. It's easy to forget that rich, creamy chocolate comes from the humble cacao, and our memory of making hot chocolate from the bittersweet tablea is slowly fading. Raquel is turning back time on a mission to bring back the lost art of tablea making.
Why have you made it your mission to preserve this art of tablea making?
Galing ito sa mga ninuno natin. Kaya napakabigat yung kiniklaim ko nga, there's life, there's soul. This came from our ancestors. You have to be proud kasi tayo yung nagtatanim and din ginagawang chocolate. Unlike to the other country na nagbili lang sa ng beans.
Raquel has taken it upon herself to make sure cacao continues to thrive in her hometown. Not long ago, she went back to the mountains of her childhood to turn former rebels into cacao farmers by sharing seedlings and teaching them how to propagate them.
I cannot make chocolate without cacao, and cacao comes from the land, and to have that cacao comes from the farmers. Because of this cacao, nabalikan ko yung bundok. I talk with the farmers. These farmers, they are former rebels. And
Wow.
what made me happy, I found an answer. They're not monster. They're also dreamers. So I
Transformed their lives,
yes,
cacao.
and they are now cacao warrior.
With cacao being under threat of extinction globally, Raquel sees an opportunity for the Philippines to be a rich source of the endangered tree.
Is there a lot of potential for cacao or the chocolate industry here in the Philippines?
Not only in the Philippines, but of course abroad. The whole world, like everyone loves chocolate, young, old, so everyone loves chocolate. But how much more that if they will discover or realize that there's a health benefit in it?
Yes.
For sure. Nowadays, a lot of people into chocolate because of the, good for the heart, good for the
Yeah, there are
and
health
anti-aging
benefits.
and everything. So the more the world want to experience that they will try and taste our tablea, because from there you can discover the different notes, flavors, characteristic of our Philippine cacao beans. Then they
Yeah.
call me the Philippine chocolate sommelier.
Now that she's established her brand of chocolate, she's on a mission to elevate the humble tablea and bring it to a more discriminating international table. Aside from training and certifying chocolate sommeliers in hotels, her shop and cafe, the Chocolate Chamber, is now a popular tourist destination in town. Here, local and foreign tourists learn about Cebu's historical affinity with chocolate through the Sikwate ceremony, which I enjoyed with a local fare of putumaya and mangoes. It's also here where she introduces sophisticated chocolate innovations, like her very own cacao de bola, and creative ways to incorporate the tablea into savory dishes.
Wow, that's really good. This is a recipe that you developed with your mom, or do you remember tasting this when you were younger?
No, with my mom, it's never the same.
Yeah.
Usually because she's an artist, so she likes to develop, so it's always new.
The artist in Raquel shines through in every chocolate creation, and her creativity is infectious, drawing family and friends into her chocolate dream.
Raquel is an artist, a real artist. They follow their heart. And most of the time it works. So now we teach people how to plant cacao in a sustainable way. In the Philippines, our goal for 2021 is to harvest 100,000 metric tons of cacao. We can do it, we can do it.
Dapat manonotice into the whole world that we are a tablea maker. My dream is first dapat yung identity natin as a chocolate maker, hindi dapat mawawala. Identity of being Filipino, nakakonect yan sa chocolate natin.
How wonderful that such delectable experiences weaved with stories of cacao also bring a greater sense of national identity and pride. Chocolate dreams are no longer left to the world of pure imagination, thanks to Raquel's creativity, passion, and daring to raise the global status of Philippine cacao through a most unforgettable chocolate journey and divine delicacies. Over the years, as her name and products have gained attention here and around the globe, Raquel says she will always be that mountain girl from Balamban, Cebu, who's still in awe of the things around her. This graceful chocolate queen never ceases to show gratitude for every experience and opportunity that comes her way, as she builds up the country and changes the world one cacao bean at a time.